Welcome everyone to another episode of Beyond the Notes, a series in which you and I will search for answers to the question why music speaks so directly to our heart, why music conveys so many feelings and even stories in spite of not using one single word. The ins and outs of that connection will likely remain a mystery forever. However, we can explore certain aspects and small details that sometimes reveal musical elements we may not have noticed before, elements also which could establish an emotional connection we didn't previously have. And so, this series is all about those small details. Today we take a closer look to Bach's Fugue in C minor. At first glance, this piece is no more than the stately answer to the dramatic prelude we recently discussed. Nothing could be further from the truth. There's a beautiful story hidden in this piece. Let's listen a few bars first. At first, hearing a fugue always seems a bit more distant than a prelude. But make no mistake, Bach tells a story here. A story unfolding against the depressing background of the key we are in, C minor. If you were to ask me for an image that describes the entire mood of this piece, I would give you the image of a dark, impenetrable, almost mysterious forest, densely packed with pine trees. And on a lonely path, in the middle of that scenery, our eye suddenly catches a young man, hands behind the back, lost in thought, slowly walking, seemingly aimlessly. And that image leads to a question. What bothers him? Why is he there? We get the answer to that question right at the beginning. Bach serves us with a theme, a melody that starts on C and goes down slowly, step by step. Hear how the notes of the C minor scale are hidden in the theme. We start at C, we go to A flat, then G, briefly touching F, we end on E flat, but as the second voice starts, the theme gets another tail to finally end up at C again. But this time an octave lower. And I've said it before. Lines that go down, outward, pain. A cry for help. In Bach's time, and perhaps still valid for you today, a cry for God. Let us listen to the beginning again, but with this in mind. But first, a word from our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Bach. I recorded the entire book of the WTC1 recently. We had a Kickstarter which was phenomenally successful thanks to all of you, and now the CD is almost available. If you watch this in the future, this CD will be available. Link to our webshop in the description box. If you buy it in the first week after the release of this video, however, you will get 15% discount. So don't hesitate, go click on that link, buy that CD, and you also become a sponsor of this video. Thank you very much. Let us listen to the beginning again, but with this in mind. When the second voice has finished, Bach inserts a small bridge. A small bridge that will bring us to the end, to the beginning of the third theme entry. And here we see something curious, where the theme consists of a beautifully ornamented yet dramatic descending scale of C minor. Bach now turns everything around. In the middle voice we again hear a scale from C to C, but now reversed, from low to high. In that dark forest we were talking about, we still see that lost young man on that long path, but like an unexpected ray of sunshine. There is already a first answer from God, from nature. Everyone can interpret that for yourself, but it's certainly a positive energy flow. And listen to that A flat. That briefly pierces the glooming tone. It pierces the gloomy tone of C minor. Yes, I know, immediately thereafter comes a natural, a chromatic line, another element of pain. But still we go up to finally end at the high C, where the whole story of this fugue began, even with the same motive. And Bach uses precisely that moment. That moment where we have scrambled back from the depths of misery to plunge ourselves into darkness again. Immediately the third voice begins to sing the gloomy theme again. In the low voice, let's listen. And when the last voice has had its say, Bach adds the last ingredient, a new bridge. But what kind of one? 3 bars long, scales downwards. Yes, occasionally we have jumps, octave jumps, but that's only out of necessity. The instrument doesn't go below that. You have to see this descending line as a vortex downwards. Again, a rather depressive answer to that walking lonesome on that endless forest path. And the other voices do not know exactly what to do. They start the fugue theme entry, but they don't get very far. The lower voice is way too strong. Which finally brings to a new theme entry. Let's listen. But scarcely we are past this or a new bridge comes up. Bach does not add new material, but he turns something around again. We're just coming out of a passage where everything goes down, 3 bars long. Now the reverse happens. The upper voice compensates by turning all that downward energy into upward scales. We want an answer to those questions, to what concerns us. And who can give us that answer? Again, fill this in whoever you like. To Bach, that was clearly God. And note that he ends on the high C, the very highest note of the keyboard he's using at the time. And again, he uses that moment for a new theme entrance. Let's listen. A beautiful bridge, this one. The only thing Bach does after that is play with the same elements with fascinating chromatics, unseen for the time by the way. to finally arrive at the last line. This long, seemingly endless path makes a sharp turn, and what do we see next? Completely unexpected. Well, our wandering wanderer comes to a halt. The lower voice was just engaged in a beautiful theme entry. But it doesn't finish his sentence. Do you remember the beginning? Where the second voice starts the theme at the moment where the first voice has not actually finished the full scale yet? That little tail from E flat to C? Well, here Bach suddenly stops on the E flat. We don't go any lower. We don't go to the C anymore. And what's more, the music stops completely in an open question, almost an exclamation. The disconsolate walker stands still. He raises his head and stares into the infinitive distance. He wants an answer, and he wants it now. And what happens next? The music restarts. It continues as if nothing happened. But something has indeed happened. This whole story comes to an end. One last time we hear the theme entrance, supported now by a lone pedal point. And how does it end? Again, Bach doesn't give the entire theme. He ends with a little curve to the A flat and then goes to the, not E flat, E natural, a chord that seems to be hanging in the air. One of the most beautiful and mysterious endings of Bach and maybe in music history. A little bit like that. Let's listen to absorb, to enjoy this effect fully. Music naturally has so many angles. We all have our own story, and that is what makes music so unique. Let me know what your story is with this piece. Did you benefit from the story? Did it inspire you to listen to this music, to listen to it again? Listen to it for the first time maybe, to study it or to play it again? Let me and the other viewers know in the comments below this video. Thanks for watching. See you soon again. Bye.